Hey, welcome or welcome back to my channel. It's Shumuriel if this is your first time here. Fun fact about me, I didn't always sound this way. I used to sound like this. I've chosen to do my biography on myself because I feel as though I'm only 21 years old. I feel like I've accomplished a lot in my little bit of time on earth. I am working 30 hours a week, taking 18 hours of school, interning, and yet I still managed to make it all fit into my life and have some sort of organization going on. I know, right? So if you want to hear the story time of how I went from that to this, then keep watching. So if it is not obvious to you, I am from the South. I grew up in a town in North Carolina. It's near Charlotte. And I just say that because people know where Charlotte is. It's a big enough name of a city for people to be like, oh, okay. And so that's where I'm from, and that's how the people speak there. And not only that, my dad is also a country boy. So combined being raised in a small town in the South with extended family that are also in a even smaller country or town, that's how you wind up sounding that way. So that was how I spoke until I chose to pursue a TV and career news, and that just wasn't gonna cut it. And so yeah, that was how I spoke. That's how people around me spoke. I didn't think anything was wrong with it, again, until I was like, okay, I want to be a reporter. That was what I used to be, for those of you who are unfamiliar. And that they want you to sound like you're from the Middle East or from nowhere, America, whatever. So all of that to say, you have to tone it down a bit, if not all the way. So I remember talking to a former coworker of mine who was from North Carolina. He was from New York. And he was telling me that I'm just letting my primer set. He was telling me that he was taking voice lessons to tone down his New York accent. And he was like, you probably should take some voice lessons too. And I was like, excuse me? What do you mean? I don't have an accent. Did and still do, but that's neither here or there. So yeah, that's kind of how the whole thing got started. So again, this is back in North Carolina many years ago. He referred me to his voice coach, and I started to meet with her. Can't remember how often. I really wish I would have documented my journey. I do still have a random cassette tape. Yes, cassette tape. If you don't know what it is, Google it. Of one of our sessions, and I remember just some of the lessons that she taught me, just in terms of tongue placement, and it honestly can be really, what's the word? I'm not sure the word I want to use. I am already an overthinker, but when you're thinking about what you say before you say it, and then you're thinking about how you say what you say before you say it, it's a lot that goes on up here. So yeah, that's how I used to sound one way, and now I don't. So thinking back to some of my voice lessons and just remembering how I used to talk, and then whenever I speak with any of my relatives and hearing their accents, it just takes me back. And it's funny because you know how some people, they may just whenever they're around their people, their accents come out. Like I'm sure Rihanna's accent comes out when she's in Barbados. My country accent comes out when I am in North Carolina, or when I talk to some of my relatives who are still there on a regular basis. So yeah, it just kind of, it's just a switch, and I'm like, ooh, yep, I heard it. so I can hear it more often. Here's the point I'm trying to make. It's whenever I hear myself say certain things and I hear the country that I didn't hear before, I'm thankful that I'm, again, able to pick up on it because I needed to do that for my career. So I think about some of the words that were problematic for me. So for example, let's just say something simple like, I remember having issues with R words, and I can't remember what the exact phrasing is, but words like I wouldn't say I say I. Fry. What else? Just anything, cry. Anything that sounds like that, I'll, you know, just, so it was important for me to remember my tongue placement. And it's a very humbling place to be in because you're just, this person is correcting how you've spoken your whole life. And it's like, oh, okay. It's weird. And it takes a lot of practice to not be like, I'm just trying to think of something country to say. I cry so much. I don't know. Whatever. Point is, that was a point in my life taking those lessons, and just seeing that video is crazy because I sound so young, so country. And yeah, the accent still creeps up. I'll hear myself certain things and I'm like, ooh, I heard it. At this point, it's kind of like nails on a chalkboard. And I'll be like, ooh, yep, heard it. Some people say they can't hear it. I think they're just being kind. And then sometimes I do go out of my way to just tone it down. Yeah, that's what it is. But at the end of the day, what Shabuzi say? Country girl to the day that I'm dead. I just may not sound like I'm from there, depending on where I am when you ask me. But I'm pretty sure to anyone who's not from the South, they're like, yeah, girl. Oh, no. Wait, am I doing this right, in the right order? So as I was saying before, my accent does still creep up. I have to be, again, around relatives, talking to relatives, or just comfortable. When I get comfortable, I revert to the way I grew up speaking. And it's all about, I can't remember if I mentioned this, it's all about tongue placement. And it was funny how she would just, again, make you think about where your tongue is when you say certain words. And she'd be like, again, this was super long ago, but I vaguely recall being like, okay, say cry. Or she'd be like, say cry. And I'd be like, cry. And then she'd go, okay, so let's, the R words are a bit of an issue for you. So think about, again, just how your tongue is. So cry, I, spy, deny, lie, things like that. And I was like, oh, okay. So I would just, and practicing often. And then eventually you're like, wow, I have undone to some extent years worth of learned speaking patterns and behaviors. So that's kind of crazy when you really think about it. I did make sure to always get jobs in the Southeast just to be on the safe side, because as I said before, I'm sure anyone else would be like, she's clearly from the South if she heard me speak. But when you're in certain states, for example, I had jobs in Alabama and North Carolina, I was good. All right, I'm gonna do my brows off camera real quick because y'all know I can't talk and do my brows. So again, I'll be back. Okay, so you may be thinking, she told us she was a reporter. She got a job on air. Happy ending, right? Wrong. Just because I finally ended up getting an on-air job did not mean that I was done with voice lessons. So this would have been, good God, 2010? Yes, oh my God. I'm dating myself, whatever. This would have been 2010. I'm working in New Bern, North Carolina. It's on the coast. And my then manager told me that my voice was too high. And he said that no one would take me seriously because I sounded like a little girl. And I can't report the news. Now, mind you, he hired me, whatever. But anyway, I couldn't report the news sounding that way, and that I needed to take voice lessons again. So it was just like, just when you think you're good, you're not. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Oh, okay. Bless me. Anyway, so you think you're good, you're not good. So I remember, again, this was so long ago, but I remember taking voice lessons from a guy who had a theater background. And I use that phrase semi-loosely. I didn't, because again, it's New Bern, North Carolina. It's not like we're in New York or somewhere, you know? So I don't know how he found this man, but he sent me to him. And I don't recall taking many lessons from him, but his main thing with me was projecting and speaking from my diaphragm. So, and I also think part of why I sound the way I do now is just getting older and your voice gets deeper. So, yeah, I wasn't done with voice lessons even when I thought I was. So, took a couple lessons with him, learned to, you know, so now I'm definitely overthinking because I'm trying to not sound country. I kind of said that country, and not sound like a little girl. And remember my lines, so to speak. Like, child, it was a good thing I was young and had good brain power back then, because your girl was fighting for her life. So that happened, and yeah, I'll see if I can find, if I haven't already put some clips in from when I used to work in New Bern. Hold on, I gotta do eyeliner. Okay, so at this point, we have a deeper voice. We have toned down the twang, as I like to say. But yet, still not done with working on how I speak. And now you might be thinking, damn girl, what's next? So this is more recent, and by more recent, maybe 2020? 2019? Somewhere around there. Within the last 5 years. 5 years? I don't know. Somewhere in that window. I heard of and joined Toastmasters. Now, what is Toastmasters? Don't ask me why I don't have the definition ready to go, because I don't. It basically helps you with public speaking. And, you know, if you work in corporate, or if you're someone who is constantly addressing people publicly and you want to sound professional, I would highly recommend Toastmasters. It's a blessing and a curse. We'll get into that in a second. So let's see. Toastmasters is a nonprofit organization that help people develop communication and leadership skills. Members practice public speaking in a supportive environment and receive feedback based on their presentations. Members prepare and deliver speeches. Members respond to questions without preparation. Members give and receive constructive criticism. And that's pretty much how Toastmasters work. I've never been to one in person. Again, this is around 2019, 2020. So, you know, this was during the panini. So I never went to one in person, but I joined a group that was near where I used to work at the time. And the people were super supportive. And I learned a lot. The reason why I say it's a blessing and a curse is they point out to you, again, just speech patterns and things that you've been doing all of your life, things that you may not think are a big deal. But again, depending on who you're talking to, how you're presenting yourself, you don't want to sound a certain way. So for example, one of my roles in the group that I was in at the time, I was the ah counter. And I really think that was the official name. I could have it messed up. But literally what you do, again, people would have presentations. So it'd be like, all right, so today we're going to have Tamika speak. Her speech is 5 minutes and she'll be talking about her love of gardening. And so Tamika will proceed to give her speech about gardening. And then the role of the ah counter is to literally count how many times the person says or ah. And then you have to look out for the other words, which like. There are so many people nowadays who say like every other word, and it, as someone who's been in Toastmasters and had to count those things, it drives me crazy because I'm like, do you not hear yourself? Because people, there's this one girl I watch on YouTube, and when I tell you every other word is like, and I'm just thinking to myself, girl, stop it. She's younger, and I am noticing that's typically something that's more of a Gen Z thing, but don't get it twisted. There are some millennials and Gen X's that I follow who do that too. And again, I'm just sitting there like, do you not hear yourself? Because it's one thing to say like in the way that I'm saying it. It's another thing to be like, okay, so we're gonna go on like a walk, and then I'm gonna go and get like a matcha, and like I think I'm very like non-conformative, and like I'm gonna go to New York, and like that's totally separate. Do you get you see the difference? I'm not saying you can never say like, but once you learn to listen for those things, it drives you crazy. And also being someone who works in corporate, just picking up on other people's I forget which, and see I said picking up on their, I forget what you call them. There's a name for them in Toastmasters, but literally at the end of so-and-so's speech, you of course had to praise them and tell them, oh, you did a great job. And then they'd be like, okay, well, there's a timer. So it'd be like, so-and-so, did they stick within their 5-minute time window? And, you know, yes or no, or they went 30 seconds over or whatever. And literally you would have someone flash red, green, all these colors at you to tell you if you're going over. And then you'd have me just silently judging you, counting. You said like 26 times. You said 15 times. You said 6 times. I would literally have to like read people down, and I heard it. So again, even with myself, I hear it. So it's very bad with other people. This is going to sound terrible, but I think it's kind of funny. And also it benefits me. When I'm in meetings, there are people who say and ah a lot, and I take a sip of water every time they say it. And you know, I'm drinking my water every day. I'm staying hydrated. So again, it's something to keep me on my toes and just keep me, I want to sound like a professional across the board. And you know, obviously if I'm sitting here talking to y'all like I am now, I don't worry about it as much, but it is something that crosses my mind, you know, is one of those as well. And so what I try to do is just take a beat before I say whatever it is I'm thinking about saying. Just pause. And another thing I've noticed, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent. People will say like before they say a number. So for example, they'll say, I've done this, I've called you like 26 times. Why you gotta say like? Just say, I've called you a bunch of times. I've called you 26 times. I don't know, it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. And it never really used to bother me until I joined Toastmasters. So again, it's a blessing and a curse. But yeah, I don't really do bronzer, but I've been doing it just to, I don't have an explanation. Because I have it, so why not? And then I kind of put it in my hairline, and it makes me feel better about blending and stuff. I don't know. I'm doing the best I can with what I got. But this is pretty much gonna be the look, just super simple. I'm gonna do a lip, and it's gonna be a nude lip. I'm just going out to eat, so I don't wanna do, you know, a lot. But all of that to say, that was just a quick little story time about me, about how I used to sound then versus how I sound now, how I try to present myself when I speak. I do often keep these things in mind when I'm speaking to y'all too, because again, if I'm watching people's videos, judging them hard, like, girl, you said like 218 times, I'm being dramatic, but if I'm noticing those things, I try to keep in mind what people may notice about me as well. So, you know, there's that. Okay, well, I'm gonna go get dressed. I'll come back and we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, so we're dressed. We're my favorite color. I'm wearing this odd shaped sweater from Express. It's super old. And I'm just gonna do a little bit of a lip. I went through one of my old purses the other day and came across this tragic eyeliner, or I'm sorry, lip liner from Huda Beauty that I've clearly butchered before I knew that you're supposed to take the little piece from here and sharpen it that way. Yeah, wish I knew that sooner. But because I didn't, here we are. Ow. Yeah, super simple. Nothing to write home about. You look just decent enough, you know? So that's the final look. I hope that you enjoy learning about my past and enjoyed this story time, kind of. I've never done a story time before, so bear with me. All right, well, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. And until my next video, I'll see you later. Bye.